Today we're going to take notes on monopolies. It is our second market structure. So far we've had perfect competition. We've learned that market structure. Monopoly is the second market structure. What does a monopoly mean? Say again? One seller, one producer. Yes. Monopoly is one seller. How can a monopoly be the sole seller of a product? They have market power. Okay? They have market power. So the sources of market power, okay, well, monopoly is one source of market power. For example, Microsoft. Microsoft owns the patent on Windows operating system. Most PCs, unless they're an Apple, most PCs use the Windows operating system. Okay, so that Microsoft is the richest company in the world because of this patent, this ownership of the Windows operating system that's used by so many people. And you know, if you think about once they've written the code for this, it probably doesn't take very much to produce one copy of Windows, right? So that's why their profits are out of the roof, because they can charge a whole lot because they own the operating system, but their costs are not very much. Right? So Microsoft and Windows. De Beers, the diamond mines, they own 80% of the world market of diamond mines. Now, so De Beers really, pure monopoly, they don't have a pure monopoly where they are the sole seller, but it's basically considered a monopoly because they own such a large share of the market. These companies have monopolies because they are price makers. They determine the price. Microsoft determines the price for Windows. De Beers determines the price for diamonds. In perfect competition, we had price takers. In monopolies, they're price makers. Everybody have that? So a price maker is a monopoly firm that has no close competitors and therefore can influence the market price of its product. A monopoly firm has no close competitors and therefore can influence the market price of its product. They can sell it for as much as what people are willing to pay for it. Right? They don't have anybody competitive, so they can charge a high price. Now, they can't charge an unlimited amount because if it gets too expensive, people won't buy it. But they can charge a high price if it's something people want. Price taker, let's review that. Price taker, a competitive firm that offers essentially identical products to other firms in the market so that each firm has little influence over the price it receives. If everybody and his neighbor is selling the same good, you can't sell it for a high price because your neighbor will underprice you and people will buy from them, right? So in the competitive market, everybody pretty much charges around the same price, or theoretically the same price. Now in the real world, again, we're working in models, so in the real world, there might be some variance. There's a difference between the cost of gasoline at Speedway versus the gasoline at Marathon by a few cents or so every so often, but for the most part, they charge the same price. Monopoly. A firm that is the sole seller of a product without close substitutes. That's part about the close substitutes is important, right? If there were other operating systems that were equivalent to Windows, then there'd be other sellers, but there's not. Am I going too fast? All right, just raise your hand if I need to go back. Two dynamics that are sources of market power. One, competitive firm takes the price of output as given by the market and then chooses the quantity it will supply so that price equals marginal cost. That's allocative efficiency in the competitive market, when price equals marginal cost. That's where it chooses its quantity. Now really, we know, well, let me put the other one up. The other one we have here is monopoly produces where price is greater than marginal cost, which results in the monopoly charging high prices. Again, the marginal cost of Windows is probably $1 to $2, but the price is very high. The thing I want to point out to you is this says a competitive firm produces where P equals MC. And I've told you the rule for any market structure is where MR equals MC is where they're going to produce. But we can say in the competitive market we say P equals MC because what? Yeah, P equals MR in the competitive market. But they want to emphasize here, rather than using MR equals MC, they want to emphasize that price equals the marginal cost. It doesn't in a monopoly. It's greater. Monopoly's profits are not unlimited because people would stop buying if they price it too much. If they price it too high, people would stop buying the good. Everybody have it? Monopolies are not always in the best interest of society. So they're monitored by the government. Like the post office. The post office is not owned a government. A lot of people think post office is part of the government. It's not. It's a separate entity than the government. But the government controls that industry. But otherwise, the post office could charge $10 a stamp, right? The government doesn't let them do that. Now, in my opinion, I think the government interferes too much with the post office. The post office has been losing money every year for years because they want to do some things to increase their profits, like maybe raise the stamps 2 or 3 cents. And the Congress won't let them. In fact, they're making them lower the stamp price a cent or two. I just saw that last week in the paper. And then Saturday delivery. The post office wants to do away with Saturday delivery. But people in Congress say, no, we want Saturday delivery. And so, as a result, this government-controlled company is losing money. All right, so the government's interfering. The same thing could be said for like utility companies. If the water company wants to raise water rates, it has to get approved by the local governing organization. They can't just charge any amount they want for your water. Otherwise, they'd price gouge and they'd make water very expensive. Anyways, that reason they're monitored by the government. And then another example is like Microsoft. In 1994, Microsoft wanted to buy Intuit. Intuit is processors, right? The processor of your computer is made by Intuit. It's a large, big player in that market. And if Microsoft combined the operating system, the Windows operating system, with the processor and sold that as one thing, the government said that would be too much control of the market, too much market power, and they wouldn't allow it. Okay, so that's an example where the courts have stepped in and stopped that from happening. Now, natural monopoly. You heard me talking about utilities. Okay, utilities are often considered a natural monopoly. A monopoly that arises because a single firm can supply a good or service to an entire market at a smaller cost than two or more firms. What would happen if there were multiple companies supplying water to Greenwood? What would happen? What's that? No? What?
Wouldn't you potentially need double the infrastructure?
Yeah. There'd be pipes all over the place. They'd be digging up pipes everywhere, right? It's just not practical. It's not feasible for the infrastructure of supplying water to have more than one firm do it. Same thing with electricity, right? If we had more than one firm, I think it's the Johnson County REMC that supplies your electricity in this area. If we had more than one firm supplying electricity, we'd have power lines crisscrossing everywhere. It can't do it. Okay, so it's better to have. That's a natural monopoly. It's naturally better for one firm to supply the service or the product. It's less expensive. Everybody have it? All right. Why monopolies arise? Barriers to entry. We've talked about some of these. There's three sources to barriers. A key resource is owned by a single firm. De Beers owns most of the diamond mines. They own the key resource. So they have a monopoly on diamonds. 2, the government gives a single firm exclusive right to produce some good or service. We just talked about natural monopolies, right? Thirdly, the cost of production. Let me go back to 2. We could talk about what else is another form of, besides natural monopoly, how else can the government give a single firm the exclusive right to produce some good or product? Andrew?
Is it like when they contract something to the government? Like for our military, they contract certain companies?
Yeah, but that's competitive bidding. Those companies bid on that, and then they come up for renewal every once in a while. Yes, Lauren?
Yeah, the government license.
Okay, yeah, I think you're getting closer to what I'm thinking of.
Like healthcare, maybe?
Yeah, patents and copyrights. Patents and copyrights. Those are an exclusive right by the government for a firm to produce something. So patents and copyrights. And then 3, the cost of production make a single producer more efficient than a large number of producers. That's the natural monopoly. That 3 is the natural monopoly. All right, everybody have it? Okay. All right, that's the end of my